The stars were quiet, too quiet. Captain Jamin stood on the bridge of the Celestial Harmony *, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the endless black of space. His ship floated like a silver needle against the dark, a perfect example of advanced alien engineering. Screens flickered with soft blue light, showing complex data streams that would look like magic to less advanced species. This was a routine mission. At least, that's what Jamin told himself. The planet they were approaching was nothing special, a small blue-green world spinning in the vast emptiness. Earth, home to humans, a species so primitive that most advanced civilizations didn't even bother to study them carefully. Just another developing world waiting to be cataloged, managed, and eventually brought into the galactic concordance. Jamin's second-in-command, a sharp-minded officer named Kang, approached with a datapad. "Captain, initial scans are complete. The human civilization is exactly as the report suggested. Fractured, violent, technologically limited." The captain nodded. His silver-gray skin reflected the soft light of the bridge, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture of mild disinterest. He had seen hundreds of developing worlds. This would be no different. "Prepare the standard first contact protocol," Jamin said. His voice was calm, almost bored. "We'll send the usual diplomatic package: offer of protection, technological uplift, integration into the galactic concordance. They'll accept, like all the others." The Celestial Harmony was a marvel of technology. Nearly a kilometer long, its hull shimmered with adaptive camouflage that could bend light around the massive ship. Weapon systems that could destroy entire continents were tucked away, hidden behind sleek panels. Quantum communication arrays could send messages across hundreds of light years in moments. Compared to this ship, human technology was like comparing a child's wooden toy to a precision-engineered machine. Kang worked quickly, preparing the standard communication package. It was a simple process they had repeated countless times. Find a developing world, offer protection, integrate them into the larger galactic society. Most species were eager to join. The alternative was usually destruction or permanent isolation. But something felt different about this mission. As the ship entered the outer edges of the solar system, strange readings started to appear. Minor, almost unnoticeable. A communications network more complex than expected. Defense satellites that seemed unusual. Jamin frowned, his secondary eyes narrowing. "Kang, run a deeper scan of their communication networks," he ordered. The screens filled with data. Millions of information streams. Complex networks. Something was happening on this planet that didn't match any standard model of a developing civilization. Humans were sending messages everywhere, not just between themselves, but into space. Millions of signals, thousands of satellites, a global network more interconnected than most advanced species Jamin had encountered. And something else, something that made the captain's 4 hearts beat a little faster. These humans were preparing for what he didn't know, but they were preparing. "Sir," Kang said, his voice slightly higher than normal, "their technological growth rate is unusual. These communication networks, the complexity of their global infrastructure, it doesn't match our standard models." Jamin watched the blue planet grow larger on the main view screen. Clouds swirled over vast continents. Oceans glimmered. Billions of lights marked human settlements, a complex, interconnected world. A world that seemed to be watching back. For the first time in his long career, Captain Jamin felt something he had not experienced in decades. Uncertainty. Something was different about Earth. Something was very different about these humans. And the Galactic Concordance was about to find out exactly what that meant. The United Nations headquarters in New York looked different today. Something in the air felt heavy. Important. Elena Rodriguez stood by the large windows, watching the diplomatic delegation arrive. She was the lead human representative, chosen for her calm mind and sharp thinking. Hyun-Ki stepped into the room. He was tall, with silver-gray skin that seemed to shimmer under the artificial lights. 4 eyes blinked slowly, taking in every detail of the room. Behind him, 2 alien assistants carried communication devices that looked like crystal sculptures. The room was silent. Important people from around the world sat around a massive circular table. Military leaders, scientists, politicians, all waiting. Hyun-Ki began to speak. His voice was smooth, translated perfectly by advanced technology. "Greetings, people of Earth," he said. "The Galactic Concordance brings an offer of protection and advancement." Elena watched him carefully. Her hands were clasped in front of her, but her mind was racing. She had spent years preparing for this moment, studying alien communication patterns, analyzing intercepted signals, understanding how first contact might happen. "We have observed your civilization," Hyun-Ki continued. "You are at a critical point in your development. The Galactic Concordance can help you advance. We can provide technology, protection, a place in the larger universal community." The alien's words sounded friendly, but Elena heard something else, a hint of condescension, a feeling that they saw humans as children who needed to be guided. She stepped forward. The room went completely silent. "We appreciate your offer," Elena said. Her voice was calm, clear, but humanity declines. For a moment, nothing happened. The alien delegation looked confused. Some of the human leaders looked shocked. A few looked like they wanted to argue. Hyun-Ki's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of surprise among his people. "Decline?" he asked. "You do not understand what you are refusing. We offer you technology centuries beyond your current understanding. Protection from threats you cannot imagine." Elena smiled. It was not a warm smile. "We understand perfectly," she said. "We are not interested in being protected. We are interested in finding our own way." The alien diplomat's skin shifted color slightly, a sign of confusion and growing anger. Humans had studied these details carefully. Every small movement, every subtle communication signal. Behind Elena, a screen lit up. It showed images, satellite networks, advanced research facilities, military installations that looked almost casual in their preparation. The humans had been waiting, watching, preparing. "Your offer assumes we need help," Elena continued. "We do not." Hyun-Ki's assistants shifted nervously. Something was wrong. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. Usually, developing species were grateful, excited, ready to join the larger galactic community. Humans were different. "We have been watching the stars," Elena said. "We have been preparing, not because we are afraid, but because we are curious, careful." The alien diplomat realized something in that moment. These humans were not like other species the Concordance had encountered. They were not afraid. They were not impressed. They were ready. Outside the building, the city continued its normal day. People walked on streets. Cars moved. Computers processed millions of pieces of information. Nothing seemed different, but everything had changed. First contact had not gone as anyone expected, and the universe was about to learn what humans were truly capable of. Hyun-Ki looked at Elena. For the first time, he felt something he had never felt before when meeting a new species: respect and a growing sense of concern. Admiral Seok-won stood on the bridge of the Galactic Hammer, the most powerful warship in the Concordance fleet. Thousands of ships surrounded him, a massive armada that had conquered hundreds of worlds. Their technology was centuries ahead of any developing civilization. They had never failed a mission. Until now. "Prepare punitive intervention," Seok-won commanded. His voice was cold, calculated. The rejection by humans was more than a diplomatic incident. It was an insult to the entire Galactic Concordance. The fleet moved. Hundreds of ships, each capable of destroying entire continents. Their weapons could turn planets to dust. Their shields could stop almost any attack. They had been doing this for thousands of years. This would be simple. Or so they thought. In the weeks after the diplomatic meeting, something strange happened. Human activity increased, not in a way that seemed frightened, but in a way that felt prepared. Satellites multiplied. Communication networks expanded. Military installations became more active, but not in a way that looked aggressive. Just ready. The Concordants believed they were sending a message, a show of force, proved to the humans that resistance was impossible. They did not understand that humans were already watching. Deep beneath the surface of military and scientific installations around the world, teams were working, not in panic, not in fear, but with a calm, focused energy. In Colorado, inside a mountain, computer systems hummed. Scientists and military experts worked together. They had been preparing for this moment for years, not because they knew exactly what would happen, but because they understood something important. Humans were never going to be someone else's property. Admiral HFY fleet approached Earth's solar system. Thousands of ships. Each one could destroy entire cities with a single shot. Each one believed victory was certain. The first warning came quietly. A small signal. Almost nothing. A tiny communication that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at the same time. Incoming. A junior officer on the Galactic Hammer said. His voice was calm, but something in his tone was wrong. HFY turned. What? The screens changed. Complex patterns appeared. Not like any attack system the Concordants had ever seen. Something different. Something that didn't follow any known rules of warfare. Quantum entanglement signals. Distributed network attacks. Information warfare beyond anything in galactic history. The first ship vanished. Then another. Not destroyed. Just gone. Impossible, HFY said. But he knew something was very wrong. Humans had been watching, waiting, preparing. And now, they were going to show the universe exactly what that meant. On Earth, Elena Rodriguez watched the screens. Millions of data points flowed across monitors. Military leaders, scientists, and experts worked together. Not in fear, not in anger. In total, calm preparation. First wave is responding as predicted, she said simply. The universe was about to learn something important about humanity. They would not be conquered. They would not be controlled. They would choose their own path. And they were ready to prove it. The battle for Earth had begun. The first real attack came without warning. Thousands of Concordant ships entered Earth's orbit, their massive forms blocking out stars. Each vessel was a weapon of incredible power, technology that had conquered hundreds of worlds, weapons that could turn entire planets to ash. Dr. Michael Chen stood in the underground control center. Screens surrounded him. Millions of data points flickered. Satellite networks, defense systems, communication grids. Everything was connected. Activate protocol firewall, he said quietly. Nothing seemed to happen. No massive explosions, no dramatic missile launches, just a quiet hum of technology. On the first Concordant ship, Captain Jianmin watched in confusion. Their targeting systems went crazy. Weapon arrays began to malfunction. Communication networks collapsed. One by one, alien ships started to disappear. Not destroyed. Just gone. The first wave of the Concordance fleet contained 3,000 ships. Each ship was a marvel of technology. Shields that could stop nuclear explosions. Weapons that could slice through planets. Advanced AI systems that could predict battle movements centuries in advance. They never saw it coming. Quantum entanglement networks created by human scientists began to work, not as a weapon, but as something more dangerous. A complete systems disruption that the aliens couldn't understand. This is impossible, Kang, Jianmin's second-in-command, said. His 4 eyes were blinking rapidly, a sign of total confusion. Entire battle groups vanished, not destroyed, just removed from existence. Humans had been preparing for something like this for decades, not just militarily, but in ways the Concordance could not understand. Every conspiracy theory, every science fiction novel, every war game, every technology research project, they had all been preparation. In Colorado, Dr. Chen watched the screens. No excitement, no celebration, just calm observation. Second wave prediction, he asked. A young scientist looked up. 87% accuracy. They will try to concentrate fire on major population centers. Michael nodded. Activate secondary network. More ships disappeared. The Concordance had a serious problem. Their entire military strategy was based on overwhelming force. Destroy first. Ask questions never. They had conquered hundreds of worlds this way. Humans were different. They didn't just fight. They thought. They adapted. They turned the aliens' own technology against them. Quantum communication networks began to spread, not just blocking alien signals, but sending back something worse. Information that broke their communication systems, signals that confused their AI, attacks that weren't attacks at all. We're not destroying them, Dr. Chen said to Elena Rodriguez, who was watching nearby. We're teaching them a lesson. Elena nodded. Humanity is not a problem to be solved. We are a force to be understood. On the asterisk Celestial Harmony asterisk, Captain Jianmin realized something important. These humans were not like any species they had ever encountered. They were not fighting a war. They were rewriting the rules of warfare itself. More ships vanished. No explosions. No dramatic destructions. Just a quiet removal from existence. The universe watched. And humanity was just getting started. The next stage of the conflict was not about weapons. It was about something far more dangerous. Information. Captain Jianmin sat in the emergency command center of what remained of the Concordance fleet. His 4 eyes moved quickly between screens that made less and less sense with each passing moment. Nothing worked like it was supposed to. Send a communication signal, he ordered. His communication officer tried. Nothing happened. When signals did come through, they were worse than silence. Humans had discovered something terrifying. They could hack more than just computer systems. They could hack minds. The first psychological weapon was simple. A signal, a message, something that looked like normal communication, but it wasn't normal at all. On alien ships across the battle zone, crew members began to see things that weren't there. Phantom ships appeared on radar. False battle reports came through communication systems. Every piece of information became suspect. Trust broke down. Dr. Rosa Martinez watched from a hidden facility deep underground. She was part of a team that had studied alien communication patterns for years. Not just their technology, but how they thought, how their minds worked. Release secondary mimetic packet, she said quietly. On alien ships, strange things began to happen. Navigation systems showed impossible routes. Communication networks filled with conflicting information. AI systems became confused. Were they under attack? Or was this a test, or something else entirely? The humans weren't just fighting a war. They were destroying the very concept of reliable information. Kang, Jianmin's second-in-command, began to question everything. Had they really seen what they thought they saw? Were the human ships real? Or were they just imagining them? Doubt became a weapon more powerful than any missile. The Concordance had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had advanced technology, powerful weapons, but they had never encountered an enemy that could make them question their own perception of reality. Holographic technologies created entire battle scenarios that weren't real. Communication signals carried hidden messages that worked on psychological levels the aliens couldn't understand. We are teaching them the most important lesson, Elena Rodriguez said to her team. Information is the ultimate weapon. Alien ships began to turn on each other, not because of direct attacks, but because they could no longer trust their own systems, their own commanders, their own perceptions. Some ships disappeared. Some fought each other. Some simply stopped moving. The humans were doing something impossible. They were fighting a war without traditional weapons. They were breaking the mental systems of an entire advanced civilization. Captain Jan Min realized something terrifying. Humans were not just a species to be conquered. They were something else entirely. A force of pure adaptation. More ships went silent, not destroyed, just confused. The Concordants had no defense against an enemy that could turn their own technology, their own minds, against them. Humanity was rewriting the rules of conflict. And the universe was about to learn a very important lesson. You do not mess with a species that can turn imagination into a weapon. The psychological war had begun. The research facility looked ordinary from the outside. Just another building in a complex of scientific centers. But inside, something extraordinary was happening. Dr. Lisa Chen stood over a piece of alien technology captured from a disabled Concordant ship. Her team worked quickly, carefully. They had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. "Begin primary analysis," she said. The alien technology was unlike anything humans had seen before. Circuits that seemed to think, materials that changed shape, systems that worked more like living things than machines. What took the Concordants centuries to develop, humans would understand in weeks. In another part of the facility, engineers worked on something impossible. They were not just studying the alien technology. They were improving it. "Look at this quantum communication network," one engineer said. "Their design is complex, but it has weaknesses. Weaknesses that humans would turn into strengths." The first breakthrough came faster than anyone expected. A quantum communication system that was 10 times more efficient than the alien original. A shield technology that could adapt faster than any previous defense system. The Concordants had been conquering worlds for thousands of years. They believed their technology was perfect. They were wrong. Humans did something unique. They didn't just copy alien technology. They'd reimagined it, improved it, made it something entirely new. A genetic researcher found something interesting in the alien biological data. Modification techniques that could change how humans understood their own bodies. Ways to improve human capabilities that the aliens had never considered. "We're not just fighting," Dr. Chen told Elena Rodriguez. "We're evolving." More captured ships arrived. Each one became a treasure trove of new knowledge. Systems that seemed impossible slowly became understood, then improved. Quantum computing went from a theoretical concept to a practical tool. Advanced AI systems were broken down and rebuilt. Communication networks were transformed. The aliens had a serious problem. Humans were learning faster than the Concordants could adapt. In orbit, more ships disappeared, not just from direct attacks, but because humans were turning the aliens' own technology against them. Entire communication networks were rewritten. Defense systems were rebuilt. Weapon technologies were transformed. What took the Concordants centuries, humans were doing in weeks. Captain Jan Min watched in horror as human ships began to appear. They looked like something between human technology and something entirely new. Impossible designs, adaptive systems that changed in real time. "This is not possible," Kang said, but it was happening. Humans were not just fighting a war. They were changing the entire concept of technological development. Every piece of alien technology became a lesson. Every captured system became an opportunity. The research continued day and night. No excitement, just calm, focused work. Humanity was proving something important to the universe. They were not a species to be controlled. They were not a civilization to be managed. They were a force of pure adaptation, and they were just getting started. The technological revolution had begun. Warfare was no longer about weapons. It was about everything. Elena Rodriguez stood in the Global Command Center. Screens covered every wall. Information flowed like water. Biology, technology, psychology, communication. Every single system became a weapon. The Concordants thought they understood war. They were wrong. Humans weaponized everything. Biological research centers developed technologies that could change how living systems worked. Not to destroy, but to adapt, to transform. Scientists discovered ways to modify genetic structures faster than the aliens could understand. Communication networks became battlefields, not just for sending messages, but for changing how information itself worked. Signals that could confuse, redirect, completely change how thinking happened. Psychological warfare reached new levels. The aliens discovered something terrifying. Humans could turn their own fear into a weapon. Every conspiracy theory, every war game, every science fiction story humans had ever created became part of their defense. "We are not fighting to win," Alina said to her team. "We are fighting to teach a lesson." Entire alien communication networks collapsed, not from direct attacks, but from complete information overload. Signals that carried multiple meanings, messages that changed as they were received. The Concordance had a serious problem. Humans were not playing by any known rules of warfare. In space, human ships appeared and disappeared. They looked like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Part technology, part something else entirely. Adaptive systems that changed faster than they could be understood. Genetic researchers found ways to modify human capabilities, not just to fight, but to survive, to adapt, to become something more. "We are evolving," one researcher said simply. Artificial intelligence systems developed by humans worked in ways the aliens could not predict, not just processing information, but creating new ways of thinking, new approaches to problems that seemed impossible. Every system became a potential weapon. Transportation networks, communication grids, biological research, psychological understanding. Everything was connected. The aliens had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had advanced technology, powerful weapons. They had never met a species like humans, a species that could turn anything into a weapon, a species that could adapt faster than any threat, a species that saw conflict as an opportunity to grow. Admiral Siak-1 watched in horror as human influence spread, not just through military power, but through something more dangerous: ideas, adaptation, innovation, pure potential. Other alien species began to watch. The Concordance was no longer seen as unbeatable. Humans were showing the universe something important. You could fight with more than weapons. You could fight with imagination, with potential, with the ability to change. The total war had begun, and humanity was rewriting the rules of existence itself. The universe would never be the same. The galactic concordance was falling apart. It happened slowly, then all at once. Colonies watched. Other species observed. The mighty alien civilization that had controlled the galaxy for thousands of years was breaking down, not from a direct attack, but from something more dangerous. An idea. Humanity had shown the universe something important. Resistance was possible. Adaptation was power. On distant planets, species that had been controlled for centuries began to look differently at their rulers. The Concordance was not unbeatable. They could be challenged. They could be changed. Admiral Siak-1 received reports from across the galaxy. Colonies were questioning orders. Communication networks were breaking down. The careful control the Concordance had maintained for thousands of years was collapsing. "This is impossible," he said. But it was happening. Humans had not just fought a war. They had started a revolution. Strategic analysis teams worked around the clock. They discovered something terrifying. Humanity was not just a threat. They were a completely new model of civilization, a species that could turn anything into an opportunity, a civilization that saw limitations as challenges, a culture that believed nothing was impossible. Other alien species began to look at humans differently, not as a primitive civilization, but as something else entirely, a force of pure potential. The Concordance's control was based on three things. 1. Superior technology. 2. Overwhelming military power. 3. Psychological control. Humans had broken all three. They showed other species something important. You could resist. You could adapt. You could change. On Earth, Elena Rodriguez watched the galactic maps, not with excitement, but with calm understanding. "We are not conquering," she told her team. "We are teaching a lesson." Entire sectors of the galaxy began to change. Colonies that had been controlled for thousands of years started to ask questions, to challenge, to imagine different possibilities. The Concordance had a serious problem. Humanity was more dangerous than any weapon. They were an idea, a possibility, a way of thinking that could not be stopped. Captain Janmin, who had first encountered humans, now understood something important. These were not just another species to be controlled. They were something else entirely. A civilization that could turn limitation into strength. A species that saw every challenge as an opportunity. A culture that believed in pure potential. Strategic reports showed something impossible. Humanity was changing the entire structure of galactic civilization, not through direct conquest, but through something more powerful. An example. Other species looked at humans and saw something new. The ability to adapt quickly, the courage to resist, the imagination to see beyond current limitations. The Concordance's network began to crack, not from direct attacks, but from something more dangerous. Hope, the possibility that things could be different, that control was not permanent, that a species could choose its own path. Humanity had done something impossible. They had shown the universe that nothing was truly unbeatable. That potential was the greatest weapon. That adaptation was real power. The galactic order was changing, and humanity was leading the way. Years passed. Historians would later call this the moment everything changed. The archives of galactic history stood as a massive database. Millions of species, thousands of civilizations, countless stories of conflict and survival. But one story stood out: humanity. Dr. Marcus Chen reviewed the records, not with pride, not with excitement, but with a calm understanding of what had happened. The human intervention had changed everything. Before humans, the Galactic Concordance controlled everything. They decided which species could develop, which civilizations could grow. They believed they knew best. Humans proved them wrong. It wasn't about winning a war. It was about showing something important. No civilization has the right to control another. No species can stop another from growing. Potential is the most powerful force in the universe. The galaxy looked different now. Colonies that were once controlled now made their own choices. Species that were once silent now spoke up. The entire structure of galactic civilization had changed. "We did not conquer," Elena Rodriguez, now an elder stateswoman, would often say. "We showed what was possible." The technological advances were incredible. Things humans learned from the Concordance became tools for everyone. Quantum communication, advanced genetic research, adaptive AI systems. Everything became shared. But more important was something else. A new way of thinking. Adaptation became the most important skill. Potential became more valuable than control. Innovation became the true measure of a civilization. Captain Jamin, who had first encountered humans, now worked as a diplomat. He understood something important. Humans had not just fought a war. They had started a revolution of thinking. Other species studied human history. How could a seemingly primitive civilization change everything? The answer was simple. They never accepted limitations. They saw every challenge as an opportunity. They believed in their own potential. The Concordance still existed, but it was different now. No longer a controlling force. Now more of a cooperative system, where species could choose their own path. Technological museums showed how humans had transformed alien technology, not by copying, but by reimagining. By seeing potential where others saw only existing systems. Genetic research centers displayed how humans had changed understanding of life itself, not just for themselves, but for understanding how different species could adapt and grow. Communication networks that humans developed became the new standard, systems that could connect, understand, adapt. Dr. Marcus Chen looked at the final report in the archives. It was simple, just a few words that captured everything. Humanity proved that potential is the most powerful force in the universe, not through conquest, not through violence, but through the ability to imagine, to adapt, to grow. The universe would never forget the moment humanity became something more than just another species. They became a symbol of possibility, of hope, of pure, limitless potential. The story was not over. It was just beginning.